All right, today we're going to break down a masterclass in modern cybercrime. We are going to dissect a really sophisticated attack by a group called UNC6692. And I mean, we're going to show you exactly how they use some clever social engineering and their own custom-built malware to get deep inside a network. So let's just dive right in.
It really all boils down to this one question. I mean, how can a single, simple Teams message lead to an entire network getting compromised? It sounds kind of impossible, right? But that's the story we're going to follow step by step, from what looked like a helpful little ping to total disaster.
So, this whole thing didn't kick off with some loud brute force attack. No, it started quietly. It started with a conversation, an impersonation of the one department pretty much everyone is trained to trust. Good old IT. And this is where the setup gets really smart. Before they even sent a single bad link, the attackers first created a problem. They just flooded the target's inbox with emails, creating chaos. And then, like a hero swooping in, they show up on Microsoft Teams, pretending to be IT support, offering the perfect solution to the very mess they just made. It's a brilliant piece of psychological judo.
So the user clicks the link, and they get a login prompt. But here's the trick. The fake page is designed to reject your password the first 2 times you enter it. Now, why would they do that? Well, because what do you do when that happens? You just figure, I must have made a typo, and you try again. What's really happening is the attacker is capturing your password twice, making absolutely sure they've got the correct one, all without making you suspicious.
So the whole time the user thinks they're running some kind of mailbox repair utility, but every single button on this page is a trap. Clicking on component verification or a profile update doesn't fix a thing. It just downloads malicious files onto your computer. The health check button was the one that actually stole the password, but these other buttons, they're delivering the payload that's going to give the attackers their permanent way in. Okay, so the trap is sprung, the malicious files are downloaded, and boom, the attackers are officially in. This next phase is all about turning that little bit of access into a persistent, hidden presence on the victim's computer. They're not just visiting, they're moving in.
Yeah, this was not some quick smash and grab. The script they downloaded got to work right away, silently installing a nasty browser extension called SNOWBELT. Then it buries itself deep in the system, creating shortcuts and scheduled tasks to make sure that even if you restart the computer, that malware boots right back up along with it.
Now that they're dug in, this group, UNC6692, they don't just use some off-the-shelf hacking tools. Oh no, they deploy their very own custom-built 3-part malware system, codenamed SNO. Let's take a look at how all the pieces fit together.
The best way to think about this is like a heist crew in a movie, You've got SNOWBELT, that's your inside agent. Then there's SNOWGLAZE, who's kind of like the logistics manager or the getaway driver. And finally, you have SNOWBASIN, the field operative, who does all the heavy lifting. Each piece has a very, very specific job.
So first up is SNOWBELT. This is that malicious browser extension we were just talking about. It's the initial foothold, the inside person. It just lives quietly inside the browser and acts as a secret relay, taking commands from the attackers way out on the internet and passing them deeper into the network. It's their spy on the inside.
Next, SNOWGLAZE comes into play. This is the getaway driver. Its one job is to create a secret encrypted tunnel that goes all the way back to the hacker's home base. All of their commands and all the data they're going to steal travel through this tunnel, perfectly disguised as normal, boring web traffic.
And last but not least, there's SNOWBASIN. This is the muscle of the operation. It runs on the victim's machine, listening for orders that come through that secret SNOWGLAZE tunnel. This is the piece of the puzzle that actually executes commands, steals your files, takes screenshots, you name it. It does all the dirty work.
So, with their whole toolkit in place, the attackers aren't just stuck on that one person's computer anymore. Now the real mission begins, moving laterally, silently, through the rest of the network. So here's the roadmap for the rest of the heist. They got their initial access through that phishing message, now they're in the recon phase, just looking around for their next target. The goal from here is to climb the ladder, escalate their privileges, until they can complete their final mission.
And wouldn't you know it, they find a target. Using that secret tunnel of theirs, they pivot from that first infected computer to a much, much more valuable prize inside the network, a backup server. This is classic lateral movement.
And this right here, this is the key moment where they level up. On that backup server, they use a standard Windows tool, Task Manager, something IT admins use every day to dump the memory of a process called LSAS. And this file is an absolute goldmine. It contains the encrypted password hashes for every single account that has logged into that server, and then includes some very powerful administrator accounts.
Okay, so now they are armed with the credentials of some of the most powerful users on the network. The attackers are ready for the final stage. They are going straight for the crown jewels. To take control of the entire network, the attackers really only needed to compromise one thing: the domain controller. You can think of it as the brain of a Windows network. It controls every user account, every password, every security policy for the whole organization. If you own it, you own everything. And here's the wild part. They don't even need the actual passwords. With those stolen hashes they got from the backup server, they use a technique called pass the hash. It basically lets them impersonate those high-level users and just log right into the domain controllers. And just like that, it's game over.
So what's the loot? What did they walk away with? The Active Directory database? The security account manager? I mean, these files contain all the user account info for the entire company. By stealing this data, the attackers literally now have the keys to the kingdom.
Look, this attack wasn't just clever. It points to a major shift in how cybercrime works, and it's making it incredibly difficult for the defenders to keep up.
This quote from Google's Threat Intelligence Group just says it all. The attackers hosted all their tools and pulled out all of the stolen data using trusted cloud services. Think AWS and Heroku. All of their malicious activity is encrypted, and it's hidden among millions of other legitimate connections, making it almost impossible to spot with old-school security tools.
And that really spells out the huge challenge today. I mean, you can't just block all of Amazon's IP addresses, right? The old security playbook of blocking bad sites just doesn't work anymore. The new frontier for defense is getting deep visibility into what's happening inside the browser and watching all that traffic, even when it looks like it's going to a perfectly safe place.
Which leaves us with this final, critical question. This whole attack shows us that the next generation of threats, they're not going to announce themselves with a big bang. They're going to be a whisper, hiding inside the services you use and trust every single day. The challenge isn't just about building higher walls anymore. It's about learning how to spot the ghosts that are already hiding inside the machine.